Welcome, everyone. My name is James Wanamaker. I am the chair of NISDA's New Dentist Committee. We'd like to welcome you to our fourth in our New Dentist Survival Guide series. This one is on leveraging online reviews. We'd like to also welcome some of our more seasoned dentists joining us on this call. We got a lot of feedback from general membership in NISDA that wanted to attend this session, so we opened it up to all NISDA members, not just new dentists. If you'd like to get the 1 CE credit for this event, please be sure to change your name on Zoom to your full name, not just your first name or nickname. We need your full name. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker. Dr. Gina Dorfman graduated from Herman Ostrow School of Dentistry in 2000. Shortly after, she started her practice near Los Angeles, California. For almost 2 decades, Dr. Dorfman has continuously proved herself to be an innovative leader in the field of dentistry. As a dentist and practice owner and entrepreneur, Dr. Dorfman has had the opportunity to engage with dental professionals across the country with the goal of helping them grow and thrive. While starting a practice in a saturated market came with its own challenges, her practice grew tremendously over the years and expanded to several locations. Because of her experience running multiple practices and leading a big team, Dr. Dorfman has developed a unique insight in how efficient practices operate and how dental teams can work together to reach their goals. Her passion for creating systems and leveraging technology to streamline practice operations is what eventually led her to co-found Yappy, a paperless dental software where she currently serves as the COO of the company. When she's not working, Dr. Dorfman enjoys spending time with her husband, Ken, and their 2 children and German Shepherd. I'll turn it over to Dr. Gina Dorfman. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for this great introduction. And I will add that since we wrote this bio, we had a small addition to our family. We now have a little poodle, an orange poodle, who is a very big part of our family and is a lot of joy to have around. So the topic today is leveraging online reviews. And I will tell you that I have a lot of slides, a lot of numbers. A lot of times I speak to a mixed audience and I have to prove why online reviews are important. But I feel like today I'm speaking to a digital natives. And I think this audience is already sort of sold on the idea that online reviews are important. So I'm going to throw out some numbers that I think are important, but if you want to get the rest of my statistics, there will be an ebook that you can download later in the presentation, and you will also be able to ask me questions. Go ahead and type your questions in the comments. I'll try to get to all of them, and I'm happy to also respond by email later on. I love hearing from you guys when this ends. I kind of still feed off the energy hearing from you, so please don't hesitate to contact me. But let's get started. You probably heard the old adage that a happy customer tells 3 people and an unhappy customer tells 10 people. And you would think that today this old adage is still true, but it's not, because in fact, we are now living in a digital customer-centric world. And in this world, a happy customer tells 3 friends, but an unhappy customer will tell the whole world. I titled this presentation, Leveraging Online Reviews in the Age of a Customer. Let me tell you what age of the customer means. The age of the customer, let me actually, I admitted someone and I advanced the slide accidentally. So let me go back here. There you go. This is a snapshot of my Yelp for Business profile. This is from October 2018 to September 2019. That's a few years ago when I first put together this presentation. You will notice that I have 2,600, actually almost 2,700 views on my Yelp profile. And out of those, 817 actually became leads. The way you become a lead is you either call the practice from Yelp listing or you book online appointment. My company actually just released online appointment software, which can be added to social profiles. And And of course, if they go on your website from the Yelp page, that's how you become a lead. And notice that nearly 30% of those who viewed the page ended up going on website, online scheduling, or simply calling on the phone. The age of the customer is the concept that consumers are more empowered than ever because they can access information about products and services over the internet in real time. In fact, a market research company, Forrester, said that digitally savvy customers change the rules of business, creating extraordinary opportunity for companies that can adapt and creating existential threat to those that cannot. Now, while it sounds scary, existential threat, think about this as an opportunity. It's a tremendous opportunity in the age of the customer, because what this allows us to do, it allows us to compete on experience, not price. Unfortunately, dentistry has become somewhat of a commodity. Like rice is a commodity. Why would you pay a lot of money for rice when you can buy cheap rice? You can't really tell the difference most of the time unless you're a chef or a rice connoisseur. But when we don't market our price and coupons and Groupons, when we market our experience, then we compete on that experience, not just the dollars and savings. And we are able to compete with big marketing budgets. Think about some of the biggest DSOs, even small DSOs, the amount of money they can dump into marketing campaigns and still get patients through the door. We, as private practitioners, we don't have the opportunity to do that, but we can still compete because we're leveraging online presence, online reviews, and social proof, which I'll describe in just a second. And more importantly, we can control what happens in our four walls. And for a private practice dentist, this is the best news possible. We don't have the same resources as the big guys, and we don't need to drive our prices down because we can utilize on what we do best, provide exceptional service, exceptional experience, and get our patients to evangelize us online. Andy Crestodina is an author, speaker, and a co-founder of an award-winning media company. And that's what he said: when you say it, it's marketing. When your customer says it, it's social proof. I mentioned this phrase just a second ago, social proof. If you haven't heard of social proof before, social proof is a concept that was coined by Dr. Robert Cialdini, and it's one of his principles of persuasion. And what Dr. Cialdini says is that when people are trying to make a decision about taking a certain action, they look into the actions of others. This is why we have Instagram sensations. This is why we have influencer marketing, right? And what happens is your patients are essentially becoming the influencers for your practice when they have exceptional experiences that they share about online. Now, one way that online reviews become the social proof is that essentially they're just like digital pieces of word of mouth marketing. And often this is the first stop in finding a healthcare provider. Now, some people will ask their neighbors and coworkers. Some will go online to look up a dentist in the insurance directory. But a lot of times they will Google best dentist in Santa Clarita or best pediatric dentist in Santa Clarita. And that's how they're going to end up on Yelp or Google looking at your online reviews. And in fact, sometimes they will go onto your website, and other times that social profile will be their last stop. Now, if you don't have great reviews, and we're going to talk about some numbers in just a second, but if you don't have great reviews, that may be just the moment when they go away from your page looking for other dentists with a more established online reputation or a better online reputation. But a lot of times, if you have enough great reviews and you have a good social profile completely filled out with lots of information, they may never even make it to your website, which is okay. You have online listing or call us now button on, I'm sorry, you have an online scheduling button or call us button on your social profile, and they will make their appointment and come to your office without ever calling your office or without ever going to your website. So in this way, whatever marketing you're spending your money on, whether it's digital marketing or postcard marketing, or just putting your money in the SEO, your online reviews are going to enhance your marketing efforts, because you can spend as much money as you want on all of those marketing initiatives. But remember, if you don't have great online presence, then that might be the potential patient's last stop, and they'll end up looking for another dentist. In fact, online reviews improve your visibility on SERPs. SERPs are the Google listings. So when you look for the best dentist in Santa Clarita, the listings that come up, those are called SERPs. When you have stars below your name, especially if you have them on several different listings that come up, that immediately draws your potential patient's eye in, and it will improve the click-through rate and conversion on your website, because they're more likely to click on a listing with multiple 5 stars than those that don't have the same great online presence. So in addition to that, while this is for your potential patients, this is what your potential patients are looking at. And by the way, your potential patients are not the only ones who are looking on your online profiles. Your existing patients are also looking for them. Sometimes if they're using a mobile phone, they're looking for your practice phone number or your address. The Yelp listing comes up. And if they've been going to you for a couple of years and they like you, and they go on your Yelp profile and they suddenly see that you don't have that great of an online reputation, your patient's confidence in your practice could possibly waver, especially if they didn't have the most stellar experience for one reason or another. Maybe the patient is nervous, maybe the receptionist was rushed. Sometimes when you do everything right, and I've been practicing for 20 years right now, and I can tell you that even the best dentist, and I didn't even include myself in that category, I'm quite average actually, but even the best dentists have bad days and cause negative experiences for patients. Sometimes it's simply miscommunication. Other times it's the patient perception. Sometimes we try our best and it still fails. So negative reviews will happen, right? And our potential patients and existing patients will look at those reviews and will make decisions about us and our practices. So focusing on fostering this online reputation is very critical. But it's also critical for your SEO, because your patients and potential patients are not the only ones who are looking at reviews. Google is also looking at those reviews. And there are a number of ways in which your reviews will help you show up better online. First of all, keyword-rich content in those reviews tells Google what you do. If a potential patient is looking for Invisalign and your reviews mention Invisalign, or your reviews, a lot of them say best dentist, best pediatric dentist, that's organic keyword-rich content that Google likes to see in order for them to prioritize your listing over your neighbors. They look at how recent and how relevant your reviews are, and that tells Google that you are trustworthy. If you have a steady flow of recent, relevant reviews, Google knows this is the real dental practice that they want to show to those who are searching for a new dentist. Whenever you have high conversion and click-through rate on your website, whenever your visitors stay on your website, Google is measuring that, and that tells them that your listing is relevant. So again, that will help improve your SEO. In fact, there's something called review signals. And those review signals, this is one of those Google slang terms, so don't worry too much about it, but Google signals make up 15% of local PAC placement factors. Now, I said a lot there. Let me explain what that means. This is coming from Moz, which is one of those digital marketing agencies and market research firms. They say review signals make up 15% of Google local pack ranking factors. And this is what you're looking at. This is what it looks like. When someone is looking for the best dentist in Santa Clarita, this is what comes up. The first one is Skyline Smiles, which is a paid listing. This is an ad, as you can see on the left-hand side. And the next listing, Dentistry for Kids and Adults. This is my practice. And in fact, you will notice 645 star reviews for my practice. Next one has 222 reviews. And then the following one is it's my personal listing, which is which only has 27 reviews, but notice it's still showing up in a local 3-pack. And we're going to talk a little bit about how the reviews influence that. And by the way, as you can see, you can have a personal listing and you can have a listing for your practice. I have several associates in my practice. So those 640 reviews are coming from all of us. The 27 are more organic. These are the ones that that patients left specifically for me. We don't encourage them because we like to have a single listing. But you might be wondering, so Google thinks those reviews are important, obviously, because I showed up out of the 3 organic listings, my practice and my name showed up twice. But what about patients? Do patients actually trust these reviews? Well, it turns out that they absolutely do. Look at these numbers. 79% of prospective patients said that reading positive reviews made them trust the business more than without any reviews. In fact, 84%, and this is mind-boggling, but that we keep seeing same number, is that 84% trust online reviews as much as a personal referral. And as many as 86% of potential patients are looking online to find a provider. And this is where it gets interesting. I don't know how I did this. I went backwards. Okay. So this is where it gets really interesting. Some of the, whenever I talk to dentists, a lot of times I hear the sentiment that maybe millennials, maybe the younger population really cares about the reviews, but older folks probably don't. Well, let's look at the numbers. And this is coming from a study done by Bright Local. So when it comes to younger folks, and they're here in purple, in fact, 50% of them say that they always read reviews before choosing a local business or a healthcare provider. 50% always read a review. 29% say that they read reviews regularly, and only 5% said that they never read reviews. Now, as we expected, there is a drop off as the population gets a little older, but let's look at the group at 55 and over. Only 25% of those folks 55 and over said that they never read reviews. 6% of them that they said that they always read reviews. And it's almost 70% of those folks said that they read reviews occasionally, which means that there's a very high likelihood that they will be reading your review before choosing a healthcare provider, before choosing a dentist. And here's another interesting fact. So when we're looking at the younger folks, their top 5 searches are restaurants and hotels and hair and beauty and clothing. But when it comes to the older crowd, those who are 55 and over, 43% of the time they're choosing or they're searching for medical or healthcare or a dental provider. That's quite a significant number. So while they don't do it as often, while not as many of them do it, they specifically focus on finding healthcare providers online, looking at their reviews. And here's another interesting fact. The next step after reading a positive review for those who are 55 and over, look at that green column, 69% of them go on your website. 69%. And 13% will make an appointment right away or visit the business. This is, again, these numbers are quite incredible. And they're actually quite a few years old too. This is not the latest numbers. These are probably 4 or 5 years out. And again, when it comes to trust, more of the younger folks trust online reviews as much as the personal referrals. In fact, only 9% of the younger cohort of potential customers said that they trust. I'm sorry, only 9% said that they're skeptical of reviews. But when it comes to 55 and over, that number is a little higher. 26% of the older group are skeptical about online reviews, but look at this. 61% of those who are 55 and over said that they absolutely trust online reviews. And again, that's a huge number of patients who are, or potential patients who are looking for healthcare providers online. Couple of numbers that I'm going to go through really, really quickly. 57% of consumers only use businesses with 4 or more review stars. This is from Bright Local. I buy everything on Amazon, and when I look for something, I filter by 4 stars and up. If a product has less than fewer than 4 stars, I'm sorry, I will not be ordering the product. Here's an interesting study. This one is from Harvard. Michael Luca, a professor at Harvard Business School, conducted a study to see how Yelp reviews, how stars affect profitability of the business. And what they found is that a 1-star review increases revenues by up to 9%. Now imagine, just because you increase your Yelp rating by 1 star, for every $100,000 that you collect, you make 9% increase in revenues. I think that's an incredible number. And the good news is that it's actually quite easy to build a great online reputation, because only 5% of businesses have a Google average star rating below 3 stars, and 61% of them are above. So how do you stand apart from your competition? It takes a little work, and we're going to talk about this in just a minute. First of all, let's talk about some factors that influence the relevance of those reviews, because we usually get a lot of questions about that. Obviously, the average rating is important. Now we're going to talk about which rating is actually the best. Quantity of reviews. I hear that all the time. How many reviews do I need? Well, you need one more than the business next to you. But there's a little bit more science that we're going to discuss. Velocity. How often do you get reviews? Relevancy. We're going to talk about all of those things. How relevant are those reviews to your business? How many great keywords they have? Are these reviews interesting, or and use a lot of words and maybe funny, or are these reviews just basically like, hey, best dentist ever? It's good. It's better than a bad review, but it's not as good as some of those reviews that we see coming from elite Yelpers. Recency. We're going to talk about how recency is important. Quality of those reviews. And here's a big one: response from the business. And I'm going to go quickly through some of those other factors, because the how important those reviews are is really amalgamation of all of those factors, as far as Google is concerned and as far as consumers are concerned. But a response from the business is one of those things that can make it or break it, and you have to do it right in healthcare setting. You can do whatever you want if you're running a restaurant, but if in healthcare setting, we have something called HIPAA, and we have to be careful about how we respond. So we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the presentation. Let's talk about how many reviews do we need. Like I said, you just need a little bit more than the guy next to you or the gal next to you. Average star rating, and quality of reviews, recency of reviews, relevancy. On top, you see some percent on my slide. You see sort of like the percentage of how they affect everything. So average star rating is 56% of what the consumers are paying attention for. Okay, so that's obviously the important one, but don't forget the others. And let's get a little bit in detail. Recency. So 40% of consumers will only look at reviews written within the past 2 weeks. That's a good news and a bad news. And the reason it's a good news is because if you had some bad reviews in the past, yes, it affects your overall rating. But the good news is that your consumers are not giving those reviews as much weight as they're giving to those written within 2 weeks. 40% only want to see reviews within the last 2 weeks. The bad news is that you need to be continuously getting reviews. I have 640 reviews. You think I could stop? I can't, because not only I need more than the other guys, I also need to make sure that I have recent reviews. 73% said that they're looking at reviews within the last 3 months. Those are the ones that they're reading. How many reviews do they need to read before they find you trustworthy? 10. And here's what's interesting. So they need to read at least 10 reviews before they trust you as much as they trust a personal referral. But they need more reviews to trust the overall rating. Let me show you this. They're not going to read all of them, but the younger folks, they want to see about 50 plus reviews before they really truly believe that the average star rating is deserved. Whereas the older folks, 55 and over, they want to see about 31 reviews before they believe that the average rating is truly deserved. And here's one more statistic. This is again from Bright Local, is that for business to end up in a 1-3 position in the Google local pack, they need an average of 47 reviews, while businesses in position 7 to 10 have an average 38 reviews. Now, these are averages. What it tells you is that the averages are actually pretty close to each other. Obviously, when I showed you my 3-pack, the 3-pack for my area, you saw I had one listing with 640 reviews and another one with 27. They both showed up, and that just because my 27 is still doing a lot better than some of the dentists in the area who are competing with me. So you just need, these are averages, but the bottom line is you just need more than the other guys, and you need to make sure that they're relevant. Now, what about sites? Which review sites are important? Let's talk about this. Now, Google is the 500-pound gorilla in the room. If you're only going to pursue one, it's going to be Google. Facebook is probably third in importance. Facebook is great because this is a lot of times where people notice you. This is where you can have links in mom groups. I actually get a lot of referrals from something called Nextdoor, which is a great website. It's not on my slide because at the time that I actually put this presentation in, Nextdoor was still relatively new, but I probably should add this right now because it's really gaining some momentum. Yelp is important in some areas. If you're in New York, Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Miami, Seattle, Yelp is important. And in my area, Yelp is extremely important. In fact, you saw how many people, when one of my first 3 slides had my screenshot of my Yelp profile for those who joined a little late. And the numbers showed that we get 2 to 3 patients every single day from Yelp listing. This is unpaid listing. I do not pay for Yelp advertising. This is organic coming to our website, our online scheduling, or just simply call directly from the Yelp page. Health grades. I don't think anyone is looking for a dentist on health grades, but they have great SEO. And so what happens if someone searches for you specifically, their listing will show up. So I would say at this point, it's probably the 5th important one on the list, but Google is still the 500-pound gorilla. So let's talk about Google first. This is actually an older screenshot of the same Google 3-pack. This was, by the way, this was 2018, 2019, and you can see Dentistry for Kids and Adults at 380 reviews, which means that in the last 2.5, 3 years, we've collected over 300 reviews on top of those. And the way that you do it is you really start to focus on your review acquisition strategy. We're going to talk a little bit about this. Now, the first thing you got to do is you got to claim your listing. Now, I've heard a lot of dentists say, you know what, maybe if I don't claim my listing, maybe I'm never going to get a bad review. That's false. You're going to get a review regardless of whether you claim your listing or not. But claiming your listing will give you a lot of advantages, including it will help you take advantage of the marketing space in your profile. In other words, Yelp, Facebook, Google, Health Grades, all those, Nextdoor, all those sites will allow you to put a lot of information about your practice, anything from your mission statement to about my practice, your office hours, insurances you take, if you have in-house insurance, all of the wonderful things that you do. There's some other badges that may, distinguish your business from others in the community, like maybe a female-owned business or a business that provides services in other languages, including maybe, silent interpreter. So whatever you're doing in your practice, you can take advantage of the marketing space, and it's free. Filling out the listing is free for all of these sites. It will allow you to monitor and respond to reviews. Should you respond to reviews? The answer is absolutely yes. There's one exception when you shouldn't. I'll try to get to it really quickly, but you absolutely should. It will allow you to build trust with potential patients, because they say in marketing, the worst thing that anyone can say about you is, I don't know who you are. When people read about you online, when they read your reviews, it's almost like trust building, because they learn more about you. I made a point to say earlier that we have a puppy, a poodle puppy. His name is Flash, and he lives up to that name, believe me. Because having 2 pets and 2 kids makes me more human, I think. And having that information in your profile, having a picture with your dog, that makes you more relatable, more human. Because remember, your marketing is not so much about you and your accolades. And I mean, you guys are all graduating from or have graduated from some of the best schools in the country. But our patients don't think of that. They don't really care as much what school you graduated from. They care about how much you care about them and how relatable and human you are and how much they like you. And that's your opportunity to connect with them and build trust. And the way you respond to reviews is actually going to be quite a bit of building that trust. It'll help you publish new patient offers. Some websites, the offers are free. Some websites you pay a little bit for that. But the idea is that that's an opportunity for you to do so. And especially pay attention to a Yelp tip about offers, okay? That's gonna be really, really important for building your Yelp online reputation. It'll help you improve your SEO with enhanced profiles and citations and keyword content from online reviews and keyword rich content on the marketing materials that you place on that website. It'll allow you to share your pictures and videos, right? Which is really, really important, because if you want to show the human side of you, of your team, you want to show off some of your interactions with patients and your patient testimonials sometimes that maybe a patient won't necessarily write a review because they don't have a Yelp login or Google login, but having their picture with a testimonial, like maybe a sign with a testimonial, is another way that you can show off your reputation in the community. And you can share your hours and other helpful information about your practice. So, to claim your Google business page, you just follow directions. It's really easy. I usually spend a lot of time on this on this slide, but I don't think I'm going to need to. You're going to go to google.com business. You're going to find your practice, or if it's a new practice, sometimes you have to add this. You're going to get verification code. It helps if you're doing this from your office so they can call you on your phone. Otherwise, you have to wait for them to mail a little card to verify that it's you. You have to make sure that there's a location pin that's pointed to the right place. Otherwise, it's going to throw things off. And this is one of those things that periodically you need to adjust. Don't worry about it right now, but if you notice that your location pin is not in the right place, either reach out to me. I can help you troubleshoot that, or you can talk to Google. They're probably a better place to do that. Also ensure that you have NAP consistency. NAP stands for name, address, and phone. Extremely important for SEO on Google. And what that means is that your address, your phone number, and the name of your practice has to be written exactly the same way across hundreds of your different listings. There are companies like Yext and Moz that will help you do that. There's a fee, usually a monthly fee that they charge to maintain those hundreds of different citations. You can't do it on your own. But if you're going to do it on your own, at least, in the very least, make sure that the major ones like Health Grades and Nextdoor and Google and Yelp and your website all have exact same citations, which means that if you have a suite number, you have to either use suite in all citations or the hashtag sign in all of the citations. If some have suite, some have STE, some have hashtag, that's going to throw those citations off. So that's a topic on its own. I'm not going to spend any more time here. Just going to go to the next one. And here's when you claim, first of all, you'll be able to see all your reviews. You'll be able to see all of the activity and see different performance, different searches, different views. You get a lot of information from Google about who's looking for your practice, who's coming to your searches, where they're coming from. You can insert different marketing widgets. There's a lot that you can do on this specific profile. Obviously, I talked about special offers. This is the one from a friend of mine, Dr. Josh Waston in San Antonio. This is his Google offer. He's offering a new patient offer. You get a little Quip toothbrush and a little toothpaste. And these things can be really, really effective. But remember what I said, pay attention to the Yelp tip on the special offers. You get to put photos. Now, here's the important thing. This is my practice, by the way. You want to put the pictures also that are more relevant. I'm sorry. Let me take a slight step back. You want to make sure that your pictures are also recent and relevant. So you don't have to remove the old ones, but keep adding pictures. You will notice my pictures here are dated 2015. You don't want to load pictures 1 year and then never come back to this. You want to, now I'm just showing this particular snapshot, but you want to keep going back and adding pictures. And your patients will also be adding pictures. Encourage your patient interactions that allow them to add pictures of your office or pictures of their kids in your office or pictures of themselves in your office. All of this is not only going to be selling your practice, but it's also going to be letting Google know that you're relevant and important. You can do amenities, you can do highlights, attributes. There's a lot here. And this, I'm going to skip this because I already talked about importance of NAP. Let's go to this one. This is Yelp, and right now it's showing we have 274 reviews. I think we're at about 300 and something now. It's, you know, the thing with Yelp is that Yelp does not allow you to solicit reviews, so you can't ask your patients to write reviews on Yelp, but there are a number of ways in which you can get them to go on Yelp and review your practice. I'm going to talk about this. Now, Yelp, like I said, Yelp is not relevant in, maybe if we're talking about Albuquerque in Mexico, Yelp is probably not the biggest place for potential patients to look for a dentist, but anywhere, New York, New Jersey, California, Chicago, Miami, those places, Yelp is really, really relevant. It's a publicly traded company. There are over 200 million reviews on Yelp, and Yelp has almost 200 million unique visitors every single month. So Yelp is kind of a big deal. And in fact, when you look at, I'm going to skip through this. When you look at the Yelpers, when you look at the age demographic, the breakdown in those who are using Yelp age-wise between 55 and over and under 34 is nearly the same. And when it comes to education and income level, Yelpers are typically, now they're you know, of course, it's a platform that's open to everyone, but they're usually well educated and high earners. And that is important to keep in mind. Now, we've heard all kinds of things about Yelp, and I know very few people, especially very few dentists, who don't have some sort of a negative story to tell about Yelp. But the truth is, when you look at the rating distribution, most reviews, 69% of reviews are overwhelmingly positive. But Yelp has been called a bully, and I actually wrote an article that said Yelp is not a bully. It's on my blog at yappycentral.com. You can find blog and you can read this article. But the reason why people think Yelp is a bully or Yelp is fixed, it's extortion, is because they don't quite understand how the Yelp filter works. So how does the filter work? Well, the way it works is that it filters out 22% of all reviews roughly, and 7% get removed. Now, only 71% make it into the recommended filter. How does it happen? It's an algorithm, and Yelp won't tell anyone how their algorithm works, but this is what we do know. Yelp will consider a review not trustworthy. Now, the ones that are removed, completely removed, are reviews that are not relevant. For example, we used to do candy buyback in my practice, and I once had a review from someone who tried to sell us their candy. Like 2 weeks after Halloween, we already sent our candy to Operations Gratitude, and we said we can't accept any more candy, and they wrote a bad review. Yelp removed the review because buying candy is not part of what we do in a dental office. It was just a promotion, so it wasn't really relevant to our listing, and they just went ahead and removed the review. But what makes a review not recommended? Now, the review can still be read, but it's filtered out, and it can actually come back when things change. And we're going to talk about this in a second. But let me tell you why something gets filtered out. One is because Yelp doesn't trust the reviewer. Now, why would Yelp not trust the reviewer? Well, first of all, new profile, unfilled profile, very few reviews, very few friends, and someone who doesn't use Yelp regularly. Now, here's what we know is that if someone maybe doesn't have a lot of friends, maybe it's a fairly, unfilled profile, but they always use Yelp app on their phone to maybe check restaurants or check dentists or other recommendations, that makes them a regular user. So although they don't write reviews, they're still a regular user, and their reviews are going to be trustworthy. Now, someone who comes in one day, starts a new profile, writes 15 reviews in one day, and never comes back and uses Yelp, that's not a trustworthy user, right? So a combination of how many reviews they have, how many friends they have, how they engage with Yelp to either write reviews or get information. That's what makes someone either a trusty reviewer or not trusty reviewer, and that influences whether a review will stay or not. A review that's overly positive or negative will sometimes get filtered out. A review that's either not useful, not funny, like Yelp is not in favor of a review that says best dentist ever. Like if that's all they write about you, that will likely be filtered out compared to some of those novels that an elite Yelper will write about you. And finally, any review that violates Yelp's content guideline can be removed. I've removed reviews from my practice. I've removed helped remove reviews for my friends' practices. If a review doesn't follow review content guideline, you can try or attempt to get removed. So what makes it sticky? Reviews, obviously, from regular users, established profile, completed, regular reviews, multiple friends, users Yelp regularly, reviews that are voted funny or useful. Vote for those reviews, get your team members to vote for reviews. Reviews that are voted funny or useful are a little bit more stickier than others because Yelp is also looking at social proof, and reviews that are relevant, interesting. And here's the final point. This comes from someone I already mentioned, a friend of mine, Dr. Joshua Austin. Check-ins. Encourage your patients, create offers for your patients on Yelp. This is free to check in on Yelp, because when a patient checks in on Yelp in your practice, what Yelp will do, now remember, Yelp does not allow you to ask a patient for a review. Forget about asking for positive or negative, because Google will say you can ask for reviews, but you cannot ask for positive reviews. You have to ask in a neutral way. Yelp says you cannot ask for reviews at all. So if you have a patient who checks in, Yelp immediately says, you know what, that's a trustworthy, a real patient. They checked in, so we're going to ask them for a review. And the patient already got something. You gave patient a little gift. And when that happens, they'll probably write you a positive review that will stay on. Again, this doesn't come from me. This is coming from Dr. Joshua Austin, who's actually also lectures on reviews, and he has an amazing presentation. You can probably find it on Google. It's sponsored by Dental Economics, and it's hilarious. I kind of touched a little bit on this. Can I ask my patient for reviews? Well, it depends whom you ask. If it's Yelp, you can't. If it's Google, you can, but you have to be non-specific. You can use review acquisition software like my company provides, Yappy. That's one of the things that we do. But again, you have to be careful where you ask for your reviews. The good news is if you ask for Google reviews, those who are elite Yelpers will automatically give you a Yelp review. And those who check in, Yelp will follow up with them and ask them to review your practice. So use Dr. Joshua Austin's tip and get your reviews on Yelp. Now, you also want to claim your business on Yelp. I'm going to skip a couple of steps because I want to get to the part that's really, really important. This is, by the way, these are pictures from my team. You definitely want to put those on Yelp. Yelp does not allow you to order the sequence your photos in certain way unless it's a paid listing. And so I don't advertise on Yelp, but I do pay, and it's like, I think it's $1 a day or something in order to be able to add videos and to organize my photos in the way that I want them organized so that Yelp shows them in a certain way. A very small price to pay for having a listing that speaks to the audience in the way that you want to speak. You can have call to action. In this particular case, schedule an appointment. I had, since we activated online scheduling in my practice, it's online schedule, smart scheduling by Yappy, we had over 160 new patients since March that are coming from Google, Facebook, and Yelp and Nextdoor, which I mentioned earlier is very effective lately. Just this little button, schedule appointment, they click, it takes them to smart scheduling by Yappy, and the appointment is scheduled within 2 minutes. It's great. Patients never even go, or potential patients never even go on the website. They just go from here. So I'm going to go quickly, just skip through some of these in the interest of time. I think I mentioned some of those things before. Let's talk about, I have a couple of minutes to talk about the review management strategy. I think a lot of times we try to take this head in the sand approach. We say, you know, if I don't claim a profile, maybe I won't get a bad review. That's fallacy. You're going to get bad reviews no matter what. Everyone gets them, by the way. And the thing is, it's really hard to get patients to review your practice. I mean, they want to, but they forget, they don't have time. And then you know, they don't think about doing this. And sometimes it's just too difficult. So using a review acquisition software like Yappy, but there are plenty of others. You are able, and by the way, for those who didn't join from the beginning, I am the CEO of Yappy and one of the co-founders. So there's obviously an interest when I keep mentioning the name, but there are other software companies that do the same thing that you should shop around before making a decision. You just make it easier for patients. So it amplifies the response. And there's certain strategies which you will see if you download my ebook, you will see some strategies in increasing the ability to get more good reviews. Now, here's the bad news. The bad news is that only 1% of consumers will actually write reviews. And the good news is that if you ask them to leave a review, 70% of those will eventually leave you a review. Isn't that incredible? All you need to do, apparently, is ask. So let's talk about this review acquisition strategy. First of all, you're going to claim and complete your listings. I skipped through some of the steps, but again, it's in the ebook, or reach out to me, but really it's really easy to do that. You're going to create a practice that's worth talking about. I mean, that goes beyond, I don't need to explain this. If your practice is not review worthy, you're not going to get lots of great reviews. You're going to invite patients to write reviews. And there's a verbal skill that I'm going to recommend for you to use in addition to using your automation software. You're going to drive patients to places where they can leave a review easily. Giving them a Google link in a text message after your appointment automatically increases conversion by, exponentially. It's huge. When you ask in person on top of that, that even increases more. And you're not going to ask for Yelp reviews. You're going to ask for either online reviews or Google reviews, because elite Yelpers will write on Yelp. Those who check in on Yelp will write on Yelp. And you're going to follow up, right? And you're going to show your appreciation by responding to reviews in a HIPAA compliant way. So how do we ask for reviews? First of all, don't ask for a review, ask for feedback. And address any negative feedback immediately. In my practice, before the patient leaves, everyone at the front says, how was everything today? Kind of like when you check out from the grocery store, did you find everything today? And a lot of times, like, I didn't, but I'm not going to send the cashier back looking for this. But in a dental practice, address this feedback immediately. I am so sorry. What happened? Oh, the hygienist sprayed water all over my face. Let me offer you a complimentary cleaning. Let me get you a napkin to clean up. Whatever it is. A lot of times it's a very simple solution. But you know what happens when a patient shares something negative? You can easily turn it into a positive experience by showing patients that you care, by flipping that around and making this like, wow, they're paying attention to what I need. They're paying attention to my concerns. That's really an exceptional practice, because I don't know if you noticed this, but especially like in the pandemic area, customer service is dead. The bar is set so low that for us to create an exceptional experience for a patient, it's actually quite easy. I will be the first one to admit that some patients are just crazy. Nothing will those are the 1% of the negative reviews that you're going to get. And so for every negative 1-star review, you need 15 5-star reviews just to balance that one off. And I know it's disheartening and heartbreaking when you get a negative review. Most of the time, it's either something that's fixable or could have been addressed at this point, or it's something that's coming from a really crazy person that could have not been accommodated. And that's okay. Don't worry about those. Just drown them out by the good ones. You need 15 5-star reviews to balance one 1-star review. Encourage patients who compliment your practice to write a review. So when I ask, when a patient checks out and I ask, hey, Susie, how was everything today? And she says, oh my gosh, I love your hygienist Soha. She's so gentle and so thorough. And you're going to say, thank you so much for sharing this. I can't not wait to tell Soha. I cannot wait to share it at our team meeting. Hey, would you mind doing me a favor? I'm going to send you a link. Now, if you're using automated software, the link will just be sent to them automatically. But you're going to make it more personal. You're going to say, hey, I'm just going to send you a link to our Google reviews. Would you mind sharing this feedback online? Because there are patients out there, patients just like you, that we would love to see in our practice, and we'll help them find a great hygienist. 70% increase in compliance if you give them the link and you ask. And then you're going to thank them. We send a handwritten note. You can also do a personal phone call. I don't really have a lot of time for personal phone calls. And handwritten notes are so rare nowadays. I am a CEO and a co-founder of an automation software company that sends emails and text messages to communicate with patients. And I love handwritten notes. And someone takes the time to leave you a review, give them a handwritten note, because you know what happens? I talked a little bit about Cialdini before. What happens when you give them a handwritten note, when you show them appreciation, they write more reviews. They write reviews on other websites. They update their reviews. You amplify their response because you make them feel so special and so unique. And you need to create a review culture in your practice. If you want to learn more about creating review practice in your review culture in your practice, go ahead and take a listen to Dr. Josh Austin's lecture. This is how we do it. Oh, by the way, this is the verbal skill. How was your visit today? We love hearing this kind of feedback. Cannot wait to share it with my team. Would you mind doing us a favor? Would you mind sharing your feedback online, as it will help others who are looking for a dentist to find us? It will only take a few minutes. I will send you a link to make it easy for you, and I really appreciate your help. This is in the ebook, so go ahead and download the ebook. I want you to read it. This is my kudos wall. We take all of the reviews, print them out, put them on little stars, we laminate them, we'll put them all over the walls, and we have, this is a lunchroom. This picture's from probably 3 years ago. That wall and the wall next door to it is completely covered in those stars. And we put names of people on those reviews because our team comes in and they love seeing Soho was so gentle, Dr. Lee is amazing. It's just so motivating, and it helps them to get on board with asking for review. This is what Yappy software looks like. I'm going to skip through this really quickly. And remember, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And so with that in mind, when you want to create those positive reviews, and I'm not gonna read them, you can, you can check out my profile and read those reviews. But when you read those positive reviews, they just really warm your heart, and they're all about how they felt. No one says best margins in town, the most, strongest cement I've ever had at the dentist. No one talks about this. It's all about having how they felt while they were in the practice. Let's very quickly, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes on negative reviews. Everyone gets them. These are from my practice. You have to read them. They're hilarious. They weren't funny when I first got them, but now that I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of great reviews, these few reviews don't really matter much. They're actually quite funny. I just don't have time to read them. I want to get to this. This is a quote from Dr. Josh Austin, who I keep bringing up because Dr. Josh Austin is kind of an authority of online reviews now. And this is what he says: negative reviews can actually be a decent thing. I call it the Reese's peanut butter cup effect. A little salty mixed with the sweet can be a really good thing. So why is it that they're like a Reese's cup? First of all, here's the thing, they're actually good for business because they help unveil problems that might actually require attention in your practice. Now, it doesn't matter how good you are, there's always a little bit of room for improvement, and most reviews are actually about workflow or money or insurance. It's really not dental 95% of the time. So learning about issues that require attention is really, really useful. And also having an occasional negative review make your positive ones look more authentic. Because if it's all 5 stars, I think most consumers who are a little skeptical will be like, is it even possible for anyone to never have an upset patient? This must be fixed. These are fake reviews. But when you have some negative ones sprinkled here and there, it makes your positive ones look a lot more effective. And sometimes when you read a review, it's coming from a crazy person, because these reviews are often a reflection of the person who's writing them. And anyone who is reading that is able to tell the difference. And it gives us an opportunity to create a positive experience from a negative one. And let's talk about this for a second. First of all, I keep mentioning Dr. Josh Ross, and I wanted to plug his course that is also sponsored by ASDA. This is on August 14th. This is hopefully going to be in person. I'm really excited for in-person events. This is in New Jersey. This is a slide from his presentation. One of the cases that he did recently, he's going to be talking about materials and technology that expedite clinical excellence. He's a fantastic speaker, and if you do nothing else, you have to take this course. I'm going to skip through this, but this is why it's important to respond. 89% of consumers read responses to negative reviews. They're extremely important. So how do we respond? Let me skip through some of the numbers. And this is probably the slide, the most important slide, I think, in this whole thing. First of all, do not disclose any personal information about the patient. Don't say, oh, remember when you brought those two kids of yours, Maddie and Alex? No, no, no. That's a clear HIPAA violation. And it's not going to look good to potential patients. Obviously, do not disclose any protected health information, which means that if a patient is talking about their experience, you cannot counteract but the tooth needed a root canal. That's not okay. You want your response to be general. You want to appreciate their feedback. You want to talk about how you strive to improve experience that patients have with your practice. You want to thank them for taking the time to write a review. And, if it's a positive review, then you obviously want to mention how much you love reading the positive experiences. But here's the first rule of responding to bad reviews. This is from one of my favorite authors, Seth Godin. You can spend your time on stage pleasing the heckler in the back, or you can devote it to the audience that came to hear you perform. So the first rule of responding to reviews, you're not responding to the person who wrote the review, you're responding to the person who is reading the review, to a potential patient who wants to know a bit about your practice. So how do you do this when you get a negative review? You start by taking a chill pill. You respond as a person, not business. I mentioned this before. I am a poodle owner. I have a German Shepherd. I have 2 kids. I'm a human. I'm not a nameless dentistry for kids and adults business. People treat humans better than they treat businesses. You respond quickly, but not until you have the time to cool off. So give yourself 24 hours if you can. I already said this, you're responding to the potential reader, not the reviewer. You express appreciation and concern in a very vague but authentic way. Weird, but I'm gonna give you a verbal skill to use. Do not offer an apology unless it's truly indicated. In fact, if you haven't done anything wrong, do not offer an apology. Do not say things like, I am sorry if we offended you. No, no, no. You either did or you didn't. So either thank them for feedback and talk about yourself, or if you really feel the apology is required, then apologize in an authentic way and invite the reviewer to take it offline. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to tell your side of the story of what happened with this patient. Talk about what your office strives to do in general and be succinct. I have a problem with this. It's a real problem, which explains why I'm 4 minutes over time, and I promise I'm wrapping up in 2 minutes. Seth Godin says, if you can't state your position in 8 words, you don't have a position. So what about fake reviews? 58% of businesses receive fake reviews, but most reviews are authentic. So let's look at the response. A simple response to a good review. You want to respond to both. You don't want to just respond to negative ones, because then you come across reaction. And remember, you're showing your human, caring, authentic, genuine side to the potential patient, not the person who left the review. Although with a good review, they'll be notified that you responded and they'll appreciate it, but also follow up with a call or handwritten note, or at least thank them when they come in. We want to thank you for your review. One of the main goals we strive for at Dentistry for Kids and Adults is to provide quality care and comfort to all of our patients. We're very appreciative of your positive feedback. There are quite a few responses in my ebook or on my blog at yappycentral.com /blog. Go check it out. Now, negative one. Thank you for your feedback. While I can neither confirm or deny that you have been seen in our practice or publicly comment on anything related to patient care, I want to let you know that we care about our patient's experience with us and are genuinely sorry when a patient leaves dissatisfied. Please contact us at once so we can work to resolve the problem. Here's the thing. Most of the time, and I've had exceptions where a patient contacted me, we fixed the problem, and they updated the review. Most of the time, they will never contact you. But what is going to happen is that a potential patient reading this will see that you're trustworthy and you are taking care of your patients. And this is all you want. You don't want to dispute what happened, because if you start getting into a he said, she said with a patient, it's going to look bad to potential ones. But if you say, hey, we care, we want our patient satisfied, reach out, we'll fix it for you, that's what the potential patient will see. And that will very much change how they view your practice. Can I get a review removed? The simple answer is yes. The longer answer is if it doesn't fall within the review guidelines. These are like generic ones, but each site has their own review guidelines. So check them out. And if you decide to dispute them, check out what I said in the ebook. But if you decide to dispute those reviews, make sure that you indicate which specific review guidelines it was violated. Use their language, not yours. Very, very important. And finally, I talked about this a lot. You can scan the ER code and download my ebook. And I just said ER code. I meant QR code to download my ebook. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. If for some reason the QR code doesn't work for you or you lose it, email me. My email is drgina@yappycentral.com, drgina@yappycentral.com. And with that, I will wrap my presentation. Thank you so much I know it's late, so thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying till the end. I wish you all luck, and let's work on building that great online reputation.
Well, Dr. Dorfman, we actually have a couple of questions in here. I think one you may have answered as far as like how to respond to the Google reviews and what is allowed to be HIPAA compliant. And then we would love some suggestions on how to respond to those positive reviews, but I think we covered that one. And the other one was, do patients need a Google account and a login in order to leave a review for your practice?
Excellent question. So a little bit to add to the first question is, and I kind of answered and gave you some verbal skills, but the one thing I will say, if you have a negative review, the first thing you might want to do before you even respond, but after you cool down, is contact the patient directly. Because a lot of times, if it's really, you know who the patient is and it's a valid concern, or it might be sometimes like the patient will tell their side of the story, but you sort of know like, yeah, something happened that I think we could have done better. Throw something, like throw them a bone, show concern. And a lot of times, the review will just be gone and you don't have to worry about it. And otherwise just follow these guidelines, just very generic. We care, we love our patients. We want to hear from you. We're very sorry when a patient is not satisfied or very disappointed when just be authentic and vague to where you're not violating HIPAA. And I have actually a number of different responses that you can copy paste. If you go on either yappycentral.com blog or the ebook, you will find a number of responses. Now, the second one, the answer is yes. Obviously, if for Yelp reviews, they have to be a Yelper. For Nextdoor, they have to be using Nextdoor app. For Google, they have to have a Gmail or Hotmail account. That's the very least. So they're not necessarily going to be maybe using, Google business tools or something like that. But if they have a Gmail or they have a Hotmail, which is essentially a Gmail account now, they'll be able to log in with that and leave a review. Where I see value of health grades is if they have none of those things, they can leave a health grades account. That one does not require login. And while it doesn't count for much, because I don't believe that patients are actually looking for it, it does show right under your name or your practice name when someone is searching for you specifically. And so having some good reviews there is really, really helpful as well. It just creates like stars everywhere, right? So it has a great cumulative effect.
Okay, I think that's all the questions that we have right now. Are there any more that anybody would like to add to the chat box before we let?
Well, I was either very, very thorough or everyone is already asleep, and we'll we'll find out soon, I guess. But again, if anyone comes up with questions, I'm very I'm approachable and I'm very easy to find. I'm always around on different dental Facebook groups. I'm on Dental Town. My email is drgina@yappycentral.com. And I also have a speaker website, Gina Dorfman, DDS.com, where you can contact me directly.
Okay, great. Dr. Wanamaker, did you want to?
Yes, thank you everyone so much for joining in with us tonight. And thank you to Dr. Dorfman. That was very informative. I know I learned a lot and I'm excited to bring some of those ideas back to my practice tomorrow. Just one more plug for our August 14th New Dentist Conference that Dr. Dorfman mentioned. That is with Dr. Joshua Austin as our speaker. So look out for future emails on how you can sign up for that. It'll be exciting to get back to some in-person meetings this year. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you.